Well, ladies and gentlemen from the World Wide Web, beste bezoekers, dear visitors of Passion4Trucks 2022, welcome to this third roundtable of the day, and we'll talk about another kind of alternative energy, and this is one that we see already in some fleets in Belgium, but we'll see how we can accelerate that transition to electric driving. And to discuss this, we have two fantastic experts around the table. I will let them present themselves in what I call my 10-second pitch. Steven, you're first.
Okay. Steven de Bruin, I'm the CEO of VPD Transport and Logistics. And we're actually mainly specialized in B2C home deliveries for big and bulky products.
And you're really two others because you also won the title of Holier of the Year a few weeks ago. So you're really our company to be reckoned with. Richard, who are you?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Richard Boes, working for Shell Fleet Solutions, Shell Commercial Road Transport, in the position of business development for the depot charging infrastructures. And that's actually what I'm doing. So maybe I can tell a little bit later.
This brings us straight into the heart of the matter, in fact, because, well, we know Shell as an energy company. But what is your and Shell's vision for alternative drivelines in general and for electric driving in particular?
Well, I think that we see a huge development in the market, and I think our focus is, let's say, mainly on low carbon fuels that we are bringing in the market, in fact. And the next step is, of course, part of this process is the electrification. And we are really focusing on these topics, and electrification will be for the long future, together with H2, hydrogen, one of our main focuses on the long future. For right now we have the alternative fuels that we are bringing in the market so that we can, let's say, start decarbonizing our transport sector.
So you've got solutions for everyone?
You might call it like that, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right now, we are building new ecosystems around new forms of energies. What position do you, as Shell, intend to occupy in that new electric driving ecosystem?
I think that...
I'm not talking about your market shares.
No. I think it is important to understand that where does it all start? It all starts at the premises, at the location of a transport company. That means that we will provide and we support our customers and the transport companies in what we call, and that is what I was explaining about my position, which is called depot charging, where we see how we can, let's say, take care of an infrastructure that fits and the most and the best with the logistical process that the particular transport company is fulfilling. It's really, let's say, solution design, what we're doing in this part. So we take care of the depot solutions on the locations, but then of course you have transport companies that drive longer than an average of 300 kilometers. That means they need solutions on the road too, and that is where we provide our gas stations also with, of course, suitable charging infrastructures for the transportation sector. And in the end, of course, we also, if necessary, are willing to invest and look for, let's say, dedicated premises on industrial areas, as an example, where we are dealing with more transport companies and there's a lot of traffic coming in and out, where the drivers can use their brakes. So we really look for those, let's say, dedicated locations too, everywhere.
Like big harbors or logistics platforms?
Harbors is an example of this, of course. Harbor depots is, I would say, that's where you generate a lot of traffic.
What kind of charging stations do you offer now?
Well, also there I would like to say something about, because it is very important. We are all aiming at, okay, when I charge my vehicle, if it's a passenger car or a truck, it needs to be full. That means as fast as possible. But I think there's a difference in this. We call this slow charging and fast charging. Mainly what we do on the road, so on the way, is because there we have lack of time, we need to charge as fast as possible. But when the vehicles are, as an example, located on the premises of the transport company and they stay overnight, we have slower charging systems, which saves energy because of the capacity is mainly limited on the premises. And the second step is that it is also for the long life of the battery, it is better to charge it slower than at a high speed.
And what do you think about there is a lot of talk about the new MCS system, so the megawatt charging system that has been developed by all the European OEMs, and the new trucks that are being presented now, I'm talking about the new long-haul trucks, are compatible with that MCS standard.
Yeah, and of course we as Shell have our own test centers, particularly in Hamburg, where we have a huge EV test center where we test trucks from OEMs. We are in close dialogue with many OEMs, and of course the megawatt charging systems are being thought about and developed. But for this moment, a battery in a vehicle has a limited capacity that he can charge per hour. And so therefore the services we provide so far are suitable. And yes, in the future there will be of course long-haul vehicles with larger batteries that can also fast charger. But I would say that is a kind of the next step.
Yeah, currently we are between 250 and 350 kilowatt. Yeah,
exactly.
We'll also come back on the payment systems later on, but now I'd like to address Steven. So you're the CEO of a fairly important transport company in Belgium. You're also forward-looking. You're a visionary. You've told me one day that you swear that from this year onwards you will never buy any diesel truck any longer.
Mm-hmm. Correct, I said that.
Is that just to make it buzz, or is it really serious?
No. We're very serious about that. Yeah.
So, and how are you proceeding right now? What steps have you already taken?
Yeah, but first of all, maybe I think in order to make this zero-emission transportation work, I think it's actually not only about the vehicle as such, so not only about the electrical vehicle or the hydrogen vehicle, but it's actually a combination of many things. So it's also about efficient tour planning. It's actually also about more cargo bikes in the cities, so less vehicles in the cities on the roads. Acceptance of businesses and consumers that maybe in the very near future things will be slightly different than what they're used to today. So meaning not always same day or next day deliveries, so that we're able to combine more products in the same vehicles and make that more efficient. So again, less vehicles. We believe that the government has an important part to play as well here in Belgium. By that I mean defining a clear framework and a set of rules. If I look to the Netherlands, they are way further.
Like zero emission zones and...
Yeah. But today in Belgium, it's not very clear where we're heading. So that is actually not easy as a transport company to prepare the future. And of course, in terms of subsidies, they could also do something to support the transition. Like, for example, what we see in other countries as well. 4.2 ton electric trucks that can be driven by licensed B drivers would be fantastic for us.
It's moving in the right direction as far as I know.
I know. What else do we see? Yeah, of course, a dense network of fast charging stations, what you just talked about as well. Availability of sustainably produced electricity and hydrogen, because of course it's not enough that you drive around with electric vehicles. You want the energy behind it that it's produced in a sustainable way, of course. And then in our case as well, and in many cases, I think, producing and storage of your own energy. And this is what we are heading towards. I think you know that as well. In our transition, actually, our first step was to make sure that we roll out a bigger network of smaller local hubs to be closer to the end customer, because we know with the range of the vehicles driving everything starting from Brussels towards doing deliveries to the coast, that's not going to happen. So in the meantime, that was our first step. We rolled out a network of 8 local hubs to be closer to the end customer. Second step is now here on the roof of our main hub in Assen, which is just here around the corner actually. The complete roof will be installed with solar panels, which then will be connected to a battery park. And that electricity we will of course use during the night to charge our electric vehicles, and of course as well for the energy that we consume in the warehouse and in the office. And then in the meantime we have about 12 electric vehicles, smaller vans driving around, which is nice. But of course we aim for the bigger vehicles because they're more suitable to our type of business. So we are very excited that hopefully normally by the end of the year we will have our first Volta truck delivered.
You will also be pioneering in Belgium.
That will be super exciting.
I see Richard nodding. He knows them, those guys, I think.
Yeah. My colleague
spoke about
did again a fantastic test with the Volta this week, so we have some nice pictures of that as well.
Good to know.
And again, the 4.2 trucks is something that we look about. And then, maybe to close off in our transition, for us, it's not only about the delivery part. Actually, we just started with VPD sustainability team, where every department of the company has at least one person representing that part of the company. And actually, the aim is that in everything that we do, in all decisions that we take, that we really take it from a sustainability point of view. And it's not always big things. It's even smaller things like the right choice when we buy consumables, that we go for the most sustainable option. So we see it actually as a complete package and much broader actually than only, let's say, the vehicle part.
Richard, I think you've never met Steven before.
No.
How do you react to such a vision and to such a plan?
Well, I think this is exactly the vision we're looking for altogether here, and it is a journey. It is a journey we need to learn from, and we are in such a process. We mainly focus on, let's say, the charge points itself. But if you take a process in consideration, a charge point is the smallest part of the process. Yes, investment-wise, it is a lot of money, and that's why everybody is mainly focused on that. But if you take a look in the preparations, and he's already thinking about setting up, let's say, small hubs closer to my customers so that I can create charging facilities for myself. And that is exactly the way we work with our customers. So I would say he's ahead of us, which is a kind of not true, but I would say this is exactly the way it should work, is that as soon as let's say, you need to invest in this kind of processes, it is where the solutions design, as we call it, comes up. And that is where we, let's say, collect all these kind of data and information, the routes they are driving, the hours that they're standing still, overnight, etc., etc. We put it in a kind of a big bucket, and in the end several solutions come out. That is where we develop systems for, by asking the right questions so that we have, let's say, the most efficient combined with the energy solutions, capacity available, what is necessary on the grid capacity, etc., to extend that. And so do we think you come to the best solution, the most efficient, not only on the short term, but also mid and long term, because that is what we also think about. He's now investing in a Volvo, but what is his planning for the fleet in the next coming 10 years? Because you need to do your preparations on that one also. Grid capacity, grid connection, preparations, everything needs to be, let's say, added to this bucket, as I may call it.
I know this is a difficult question, but imagine I'm a potential customer of yours and I want to change. I direct myself to your teams and I ask you to assist me. How long does it take to prepare such a strategic plan? Because it's a question of strategy.
Well, at this moment we have some time because the delivery times of the e-trucks are relatively long.
Yeah.
But also the hardware, I think we're all facing, let's say, supply issues. But it really depends on the size of the premises, of course. The main time-consuming thing in our experience is extending grid capacity, or as an example, when you need a transformer house on your premises, delivery times are long. And it really depends, but in a normal situation, I would say the scan we do normally first, so the solutions design can be done in 2 to 3 months.
Stefan, how long did it take you from the very start of the project to the start of the rollout?
Of course, you're talking about months, huh?
Yeah.
Of course, you need first to put all your figures together. So we did an analysis of our drop density. to pinpoint where our most dense areas were, to be able to determine the exact location where the hub should be. Of course, not the biggest surprise that they are all located by or just outside of big cities, but even then, a difference of 2 to 3 kilometers can actually have a
big difference
with the congestion in this in country. So let's say that was the design phase, which took us, I think, 2 to 3 months to do it in a decent way, and then afterwards, of course, then you need to look whatever is available on the market in terms of warehousing. So yeah, the total journey until so far, yeah, you're easily talking about a year. That But in the meantime, the hubs are up and running, and even without the let's say shift toward electric vehicles, what is really nice is that we already see that we have a reduction of 35% in last mile kilometers. So even without shifting towards different type of vehicles, that is actually already a very nice accomplishment in terms of reduction of CO2. So again, what I said before, it's not only shifting towards the vehicle, it's actually a combination of many things.
But it could be that fast because you also have a fairly high level of maturity.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You can take it as a compliment. Richard?
Yeah, it's good to hear that I would nearly say, if you need a new job, maybe we can hire you, but
or the other way around.
But we could talk. No. But it is important that we should be aware that partnership in these cases is key. Partnerships with our transportation companies, but also with the OEMs. The OEMs, the Scanias, the Renaults, etc. All the makes that are representing the exhibition here. It is important that we create partnerships, but also, of course, directly with the transport and the logistic companies, because they cannot do it on their own. They need support in the broadest way and advice, and that is what we stand for. It's not just putting some chargers on the floor and say to the customer, hey, good luck with it. It's the data that comes out of the chargers that do we have to, let's say, adjust during the first charging sessions. Is the logistical process working well? What do we need to adjust in his charging infrastructure to have it as optimal as possible? And this could also be that we think about and advise him and say, hey, maybe this is one of your fixed addresses where you deliver your goods or your products. Maybe we should add a little station there too, so that your drivers can comfortably charge also there during loading / unloading or whatever. But use the times that you're standing still in the most efficient way is all part of this solutions design process.
Stefan, is that the kind of solution you might have looked for if you hadn't found your existing partners, of course? That kind of nearly consulting?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't team up, and yes, we did quite a lot ourselves. Nevertheless, we also did a part of the journey with the New Drive, an organization that helps companies to elaborate on or compare types of vehicles. The diesel one compared to the electrical one, so they do total cost of ownership calculation and these kind of things. So absolutely. So partnerships in this transition is, I think, very crucial. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's one aspect we haven't really talked about, and I know it's always a very touchy subject, is money and prices. You know, Richard, how can you help companies who have to charge sometimes underway get some transparency about the price they will pay for every kilometer they drive in electric mode?
Well, of course we have tools for this. It's called, part of this is our tools called Shell Telematics, is like a 100% registration tool where you can add all this data. Also what you are charging, but also your costs. We develop different apps for this, so that the transport companies can always see what are the costs on the routes. Even if they're looking for a charging station, they can see the kilowatt hour prices at the stations. And it is, I think, important also, that is something we're working on, is, let's say, reservation systems, which is not there yet, but let's start up and
That's the
first
next
create
step.
the infrastructure, and hopefully we need to make reservations on the charging stations for trucks, because that will tell us that there are a lot of them on the road. But mainly transparency is key. It's the same thing with the diesel prices or the gas prices. Transparency is key, and that is why we always also say, I would say, the cheapest way to charge is for cost price at your own premises, and that is where it all starts. And then we can be supportive on the routes. We call this on-the-go charging, on-the-go solutions, where we provide in.
So you can provide a high degree of transparency and predictability also to future fleet
definitely.
operators.
There are models that we can, let's say, calculate and predict also on the future, on these routes. Okay, what will be my costs? Because these costs are important to know. What do I calculate my customer?
Talking about costs, the high capex that is needed as well for the trucks as for the charging points may also be perceived as an obstacle to go electric. How do you solve, how do you help transport companies or transport fleets break that dilemma?
Well, I can imagine, as I was already saying in the beginning, that the charging, the hardware, as we call it, is expensive, but also be aware of the installation costs. Especially when you're talking about, we're developing at this moment a location for a customer with 12 360 kilowatt DC chargers as an example, but you're already talking about investments on installation over 1 million. And of course, these are major investments and they cost a lot of money, but that's what we were talking about, is the partnership. Partnership that you have as a transporter with your OEM for the vehicle, and the partnership with us. And that means, of course, we offer several, let's say, finance solutions to make that a little bit more easy for the transportation company. So we have certain services that we offer. You can speak about kind of leasing constructions, rent constructions, but also, as we call, charging as a service, where we in fact take over the full investment, but then we take, of course, a certain kilowatt hour price. That's our income then. But it really depends on the size of the project and the way it's been set up. But yes, we offer several tools to support the transportation companies.
You're talking about partnerships. Do you agree with me when I say that a real partnership is when both parties share the risks and the benefits?
It could be a possibility. Yeah, definitely. I fully agree on that. But on the other hand, yeah, no transportation company, and this is what we say to every customer that I speak to, no location, no site, nothing is the same. When you take as an example a piece of ground, but there's a landlord, the ground is rented, then you already have a different situation. Who pays the installation? Who pays the investment, etc. So it's yeah, as we call piece of the art. I wouldn't call it, but it's real detailed work,
it's
and
a really
every project
highly
is different.
individualized approach to things. Yeah.
No, there's not able to give a standard. When they ask me, can you give me a price on the installation and everything, without doing full inspections, without gathering all these materials, we even say we don't do it.
It doesn't work. Then I would like to challenge both of you as a conclusion. If we meet in 5 years' time, all the three of us are on the same table, what will VPD look like as an operator of electric trucks? Will you be fully electrified?
I sincerely hope so. So that is our goal, that is our aim, and we will do everything that is in our power to achieve that goal. But it was said in the beginning as well, it's a journey, and that is probably the most important part, because we're doing things that have never been done before. So it's trial and error. But at least the end goal is really there, and we will do everything in our power to get there as soon as possible. So yes.
Same question to Richard.
Well, Shell's aim is to have in 2025 around 500,000 public charging points, and for even 2030 it's 2.5 million. So I fully go with my, I would say, colleague next to me and saying, yeah, electrification is the main goal, but of course we are also focusing strongly on H2, because especially for the longer distances, hydrogen will be, I think, the next step. But now I'm speaking for myself.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, it really looks like 2022 is a kickstart year for electric trucking. As a society, we need that, of course, but the good news is that things are really starting to take shape now. Let's hope we have many more trucks, electric trucks on the road by the end of this year, and even more so in the coming years. I think this is just the start of the conversation. I will now invite everyone, after the live stream has stopped, to go to the Shell stand and to have a nice networking drink to continue discussions. Dat was het dus voor de ronde tafel over elektrische trucks. We zien elkaar over 1,5 uur voor de laatste debat van de dag. Thank you very much.